Risley with DealBook of the New York Times. General Motors shares open at roughly $35 this morning on their IPO, rising roughly 8% and holding at those levels for most of the morning. Now here with me to talk about the IPO is Jonathan Corpina of Meridian Equity Partners. Thanks for joining us, Jonathan. What was the mood like this morning?
Clearly, there was a lot of excitement leading up to this IPO. We knew it was coming this week. We knew it was on the calendar. It's one of the largest IPOs we've had in U.S. history. This has been a major groundbreaking event here at the New York Stock Exchange. I think it's a great achievement for GM and for our economy, considering what we've been through over the last 2 years. But the mood here this morning, there was a lot of electricity, a lot of excitement. We had a lot of dignitaries that were here, a lot of executives from GM, and everything went off great. It went off without a hitch. It looks like we priced it right. It opened at a premium and it stayed there. So it's good to see that the stock has found its support level.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk this morning as to what the volumes would look like. So what have you been tracking?
Volume has been very heavy, considering how large this IPO has been. On the first day, you really see a lot of volume that opens in the stock and trades throughout the day. It will be interesting to see how much volume we have continuing in this stock, considering next week is a holiday week. I think we'll get a very good gauge of it once we get to the beginning of December, how this stock is going to trade and what range it's going to trade in. But so far today, the volume has been very good.
And what kind of investors have you been seeing?
This has been more of a long-term investor. I think, deep down, the government and the bank involved and GM wanted to make sure that the stock was allocated into the hands of the right types of investors. Investors that were going to hold on to this stock for a while, we're going to keep them in their retirement plans, their 401k plans. I have not seen that much flipping in the stock or trading back and forth in the stock. I've seen investors who have come in to want to buy it and hold it for a while.
Now, speaking more of the broader picture, a lot of investors want to know what this IPO means for the larger IPO market. So how would you say this differs from most of the IPOs you've seen this year, and what do you think it means going forward?
Well, besides being one of the largest, a lot of the IPOs that we've seen so far this year have been international, a lot of Chinese companies, a lot of Japanese companies, a lot of solar and energy companies that we've seen, mostly on the smaller scope. This IPO coming here, especially to the New York Stock Exchange, I think gives an impression to the world that the economy is starting to slowly come back. We're starting to stabilize. GM went through its restructuring process and is now able to come back into the market. And moving forward, I think other companies that have had their issues in the past are going to realize that you can take a step back to get 2 steps forward.
So adding a little bit of fire to the IPO market, but I guess we'll have to see. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Now that GM stock has been made public, the other larger question is whether taxpayers will recoup the $50 billion investment from the government. From the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Evelyn Risley for DealBook of the New York Times.